We are currently in the year of the Jetsons, 2022, and I'm not necessarily referring to the show's 60th anniversary, but rather how we are actually living in the year when George Jetson is born. That's right, his birthday was set to be July 31st, 2022. Remember, the Jetsons, at least during its original 1962 run, took place in the year 2062, which means we currently have 40 more years to wait for old Georgie to have his life all set, walking his dog on that annoying treadmill, installing a robot maid with the voice of Wilma Flintstone, constantly getting fired by his boss, and being a loving family guy to his 2 kids and Jane, his wife, who he apparently knocked up when she was 17 or 18. Wait, what? The true origins of Scooby-Doo in under 30 seconds. So basically, Shaggy is actually Maynard Cribs, Daphne is really Thelma Menninger, Velma is Zelda Gilroy, Freddy is Doobie Gillis, and Scooby-Doo himself is... Frank Sinatra. How were the Simpsons born? So basically, the whole family was doodled in a rush by Matt Groening in the waiting room of James L. Brooks' office. He needed a backup plan for an animated series so he wouldn't lose the rights to his little comic strip, which nobody remembers anyways. Also, because of said rush, the names of Homer, Marge, Lisa, and Maggie were ripped straight from Matt's own family. As for Bart, it's just Brat with letters switched around, nothing too deep, although he was almost named after Matt, but that would have been painfully obvious. And if you didn't know, now you know. Happy 35th anniversary, Simpson family. Enjoy your celebratory frosty chocolate milkshakes. A lot of us know that this part of Family Guy's intro takes clear inspiration from All in the Family, but what not as many people are aware of are the origins behind the Griffins transforming their living room into a giant musical stage. In the 2019 book Inside Family Guy, page 32, series co-developer David Zuckerman said that he was inspired by a 70s Campbell soup commercial of all things, featuring classic actress-singer Ann Miller. The ad starts off looking like a normal kitchen scene, then all of a sudden it's an elaborate Broadway-style song and dance about a damn can of soup. And as you watch the commercial, it is rather easy to make the comparisons to Family Guy's opening. So from now on, the next time you watch this intro, you have a Campbell soup can engraved into your brain. You're welcome. Did you know that Disney's The Great Mouse Detective has a TV adaptation all along? Yes, that happens to be this one, Anatole. Anyone remember that show? But how are these two related, you may ask? They're not even from the same studio. Well, not only are they both based on the books by Eve Titus, but according to this forum post, one of the Basil of Baker Street books reportedly confirms that Basil and Anatole are cousins. Mind blown. So the next time you watch Anatole, just think of it like a Great Mouse Detective spin-off starring Basil's French cousin. Or if you want, you can just seek out the Disney Adventures comics, in which Olivia and Fidget are friends now. Yeah, those exist. You grew up with Rugrats, right? Well, did you know the voice of Susie?
My name's Susie, what's yours?
Is also the voice of Miranda from As Told by Ginger.
Let me pretend I care.
Penny from Inspector Gadget.
I'll find a way in.
Number 5 from Kids Next Door.
Yeah.
Peeble from The Proud Family.
Your TV smoking.
Quail from Clifford.
Yeah!
And even Foxy from Drawn Together.
A #1 hit by Foxy Love.
Yep, I'm talking about the one and only Cree Summer. And if you see her in the flesh, you may recognize her as Freddy from A Different World.
As a matter of fact, I'm going to the spring cabaret dance with my friend Dwayne.
So this is just a friendly reminder of how people in the voice acting world are a versatile bunch who deserve more respect. We love you, Cree. So, the theme song to As Told by Ginger, it's a banger, isn't it? But did you know that before they settled with Macy Gray, there was a point where they considered having the show alternate between different main characters singing it? Yes, an interview with Aspen Miller Vincent, the voice of this Alice Pigtail thing, revealed that not only is there a version of the theme with Ginger herself singing it, which was heard in some areas of episode 1,
But somewhere in the Nickelodeon/Klasky Chupo vaults exists versions of Macy singing it, Miranda singing it, and even Dodie singing it. Oh dear God.
Someone once told me the grass is much greener on the other side.
So, as you may know, this man, Bruce W. Smith, he has an awesome career in animation. But one thing he did not, I repeat, did not do, was write for ThunderCats. He insisted on the Double Toasted podcast that it was a totally different Bruce Smith who wrote on the show.
Dude, I'm not that Bruce Smith. There was apparently a Bruce Smith who wrote on ThunderCats. Now, I wasn't that Bruce Smith until one day I got a phone call. It was from the Writers Guild, and they were like, you know, are you Bruce Smith? I'm like, yes. We said, we've been trying to find you forever. We have these royalty checks from ThunderCats. And I'm like, oh. I'm like, damn, am I that Bruce Smith today? Am I that Bruce Smith today?
I can be.
I can be, exactly. And I was like, no, you got the wrong Bruce Smith. You know, I don't want to take no food out of nobody's mouth, but I bet those royalty checks are nice. They about 30 years old. So that was the one day I contemplated on being that Bruce Smith.
Yeah, I hear you, man. I hear you.
So yeah, fix your Wikipedia.
One thing about Rick and Morty that blew my mind once I realized it was how there are at least 2 actresses from Degrassi The Next Generation who voice students in Summer's class. Tammy is played by Cassie Steele, aka Manny Santos, while Nancy, a super underrated character by the way, is voiced by Allison Paul, who played Claire Edwood. This bit of trivia amazed me as someone who enjoys binge-watching Degrassi. Apparently, so was Rick and Morty co-creator Justin Roiland, because he too was a huge Degrassi fan growing up. So that explains everything. Let's hope Justin invites Jimmy, aka Mr. Started from the Bottom himself, Drake, to a guest appearance soon.
In general, the Proud Family Wilder and Prouder is a thrill to watch, and it met my expectations of being a great successor to the original. But what I want to highlight today are 2 particular pop culture references. In episode 7, Penny holds a copyright-friendly DVD cover for the 1992 classic Bebe's Kids, and even cooler than that, in episode 3, Penny be doing that famous Michael Jordan arm stretch from Space Jam. What do these have in common? They're both tributes to Bruce W. Smith's prolific career. Yeah, I saw what you did there, Bruce. As animation nerds, we spot these things like a hawk. Also, congrats on the 2nd season renewal. You guys obviously deserved it.
Time to debunk another grim and evil myth. It was long believed that General Skarr was created as a parody of Hair Star from the Preacher comics. As it turns out, despite the coincidental similarities, that was wrong. Maxwell Adams said on Tumblr that he'd never seen anything with the Preacher name on it until the TV adaptation came out. He did, however, confirm that Skarr was based on Fearless Leader from Rocky and Bull & Co., and knowing that prevents me from thinking of Fearless Leader as anything but Skarr's great ancestor. And maybe General Specific's ancestor too. Oh yeah, and apparently Skarr was a mutated laboratory rabbit before joining Evil Con Carne. It's 100% canon. Sylvester the Cat's image was plagiarized. By who? By Columbia Pictures. Yes, thanks to animation historian Sam Komorowski, I learned about the existence of a 1947 color fantasy story titled Kitty Catty, in which this bootleg Sylvester and a dog engage in golf-related slapstick gags. The cartoon itself is okay, and I do like the random appearances of Bing Crosby and Bob Hope throughout all of it, but it's just incredibly distracted how Sylvester of all characters was this close to becoming the next Mickey Mouse in terms of favorite cartoon superstar to rip off during the golden age. Also, I love how not Sylvester's character model is shown to have buck teeth early on, in a sorta attempt to make him safe from Warner Bros. Suing Columbia, but later on they just drop the teeth. Man, the things you find out about while browsing animation history. This Hanna-Barbera cartoon got away with showing a woman's bare chest. Okay, now that I have your attention, wait till your father gets home. It's one of those cartoons that I respect more than I actually enjoy watching, but despite it being a rather mid-tier Hanna-Barbera sitcom, this unofficial animated adaptation of All in the Family at least deserves more acknowledgement in the history of primetime adult cartoons. It honestly frustrates me a little how people tend to go straight to The Simpsons when talking about what happened after the Flintstones' 6-year run, ignoring the Boyle family who appeared for a solid run of 48 episodes. Wait Till Your Father Gets Home isn't too different from the likes of King of the Hill, Family Guy, and F is for Family, with how it deals with the social issues of its time period. Among the few highlights this show had to offer are its appealing, sketchy character designs by Playboy cartoonist Marty Murphy, and its super memorable theme song. Also, they got some risque stuff past the censors. Need I remind you? There is a good chunk of noteworthy, prominent black animators in the industry, from Floyd to Bruce to Dan to Ian, but today let us look at an unsung man who essentially paved the way for those other legends, Frank Braxton. His career started in the 1950s working at Disney and most notably Warner Bros., where he was an in-between animator in Chuck Jones's unit. It is presumed that he assisted fellow Jones animator Benny Washam on his scenes for such classic shorts as Alibaba Bunny and One Froggy Evening. Although he faced some discrimination in the studio, Frank's career prevailed, and he'd move on to animating for stuff like the Peanut Specials, George of the Jungle, and the Alvin Show. Not to mention, in 1960, he became one of the first black presidents of any film union with his time at the Screen Cartoonist Guild. With all of this being said, make sure you remember Frank Braxton each Black History Month, animation fans. Cartoon Network legend Genndy Tartakovsky is currently trending thanks to his long-awaited new series on Adult Swim, Unicorn Warriors Eternal. But today, let's briefly look back at the show that probably introduced the world to this genius animator, Dexter's Laboratory. Specifically, I want to highlight the short that was released in theaters alongside the Powerpuff Girls movie, Chicken Scratch. This short is a special kind of special. Not so much for its plot about Dexter learning about chickenpox for the first time, aided by helpful backstory from Dee Dee, but more so for its outstanding art direction and the fact that Genndy storyboarded and animated pretty much the entirety of this short by hand, in-house, all by himself. Also worth noting, as character designer Chris Battle pointed out, is Chicken Scratch was produced right before the revival seasons of Dexter's Laboratory, which saw Genndy take a leave of absence in order to give full attention to Samurai Jack. That being said, he really gave this Dexter episode his all. Did you know that the Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy's TV movie, Big Book Adventure, was this close to having a guest cameo from, of all people, Pamela Anderson? Yes, the star of Baywatch and Stripperella herself. Maxwell Adams talked about this during his guest appearance on Rebel Taxi's Pizza Party podcast in 2020.
I don't remember what the problem was. It just got into one of those things where it's just like, they were like, well, we don't know, and is anyone going to know who Pamela Anderson is if they're a 14-year-old boy? And I was like, yeah!
Then 2 years later, Maxwell shared this unused special pose from Big Book Adventure, depicted Abraham Lincoln with a sexy space babe. Immediately, I figured out that this was the scrapped Pamela Anderson cameo he was talking about in the past. Too bad the space babe had to suffer the same fate as nice heirs and naughty heirs, being a waifu from the grim and evil universe who'll never see the light of day. Did you know that for Toy Story? Did you know that for Toy Story, in the scene where Woody accidentally pushes Buzz's helmet open, causing the Space Ranger to dramatically gasp for air, the expression on Woody's face was supposed to be a worried one as he looks around the bedroom, but when the crew looked at that scene during the rough stage, Woody's face looked rather unamused, as if he was thinking, alright drama queen, you're gonna quit the fall asthma bit or what? Presumably, Pixar saw it that exact way too, because they decided to leave Woody's face as is, thus making this classic moment end up even funnier than originally intended. Did you know that for Storks, the voice of Tulip, Katie Crown, was initially brought on to provide scratch dialogue recordings to sync up the storyboard drawings to? Fortunately, instead of recasting her with some well-known celebrity actress, Warner Bros. And the film's directors thought the quirky performance of this underrated Canadian voiceover professional fits Tulip's character to a T, and officially cast her in the role. Thus we have a rather unsung example of an actual experienced voice actor being a part of the main cast in a mainstream Hollywood animated feature which is otherwise relied on big names and star power, regardless of actual voice acting talent. Storks wasn't among my top favorite films that I went to theaters to see play, but it has all my respect for giving the adorable Katie Crown some well-deserved extra attention. Her acting as Tulip really saved this movie from complete mediocrity, especially in that one scene where she's talking to herself like a lunatic. Like a post-up version of Katie's old YouTube comedy skits. What a lovely talent. I really dug the teaser trailer for Inside Out 2, and one standout aspect about it is the new emotion in Riley's mind, anxiety. Just like a lot of other people, I immediately thought her design was very Muppet-esque. Specifically, she reminded me of Red Fraggle from Fraggle Rock and the obscure Sesame Street monster Dina, both of whom were performed by Karen Perrell. Funnily enough, Karen actually worked as a Pixar animator for some time, involved with such projects as Toy Story 2, Monsters Inc., and For the Birds. All that being said, I couldn't resist doing fan art of Anxiety wearing Red Fraggle's trademark sweater. Here she is. Hope you love my drawing, and feel free to share your thoughts on the Inside Out 2 teaser trailer down in the comments. Want a sample of how production on the Ren and Stimpy show was as chaotic as the show itself? Let me tell you a little horror story behind Ren and Stimpy's magnum opus, Stimpy's Invention. You know, I could go on about how this 11-minute segment took the nefarious John K. 1 year to complete, but since we only have a minute, I'll highlight one minor detail that went through a stupid amount of revisions. The gift box Stimpy gives Ren that Stay Put socks in apparently wasn't girly enough at first, so the poor car stylist, Tia Wang, had to spend a whole month creating about 50 different choices for the gift box's color palette, enough to fill up 4 walls. Animation historian Jerry Beck even compared this chaos to The Shining. And you wanna know how this ends? John K. was like, screw it, just go in the first one you did. That was just one of many instances of tediousness behind the scenes that had Nickelodeon be like,
Yo, I'm gonna let you finish, but ding